Boo2. The saga continues. They were back. Traditional ghosts in traditional white sheets were back. For vengeance. And with a vengeance. As one of the spiteful spectres had told me. The traditional ghost in its winding sheet is now little more than a Halloween decoration. And even then, at Halloween, ghosts are being displaced by space aliens. Bug-eyed space aliens. We're tired of being ignored, and there are more of us dead than there are of you the living. So we've come back. Back! They were back and in my house, tormenting me, but tormenting everyone else as well. After keeping me up half the night, my persecuting poltergeists finally allowed me to fall into a troubled sleep, a sleep full of nightmares. I found myself walking down a dark hallway in a deserted house, an archetypal haunted house, a candle in my hand. I could hear myself breathing. I could hear the floorboards creak. Boo! A posse of white-sheeted spooks jumped out at me, and I woke up with a shriek, loud enough to scare the white sheet off a ghost. It was something I had never done before, waking up screaming like that. The dreams and the jump scares went on all night. Sometimes I was walking through a deserted cemetery, sometimes in a darkened basement. But the ending was always the same. Boo! I woke up more exhausted than if I had been awake all night. But when I staggered into the kitchen, there wasn't a ghost or a white sheet in sight, and I began to hope faintly that the ghosts had gone west or gone somewhere far away. Hey, maybe spectres sleep during the day. I made coffee, as Lord knows I needed a cup, badly, but I wound up with a cup full of grounds. Either I had screwed up or the evil spirits were still sabotaging me. I padded off into the bathroom and climbed into the shower to find a pair of ghosties there. Ghosties which burst into peals of spectral laughter at the sight of my naked bod. I'll fix you, I said to myself, and turned on the shower, soaking their white sheets till they collapsed. I then wrung both sheets out like they were wet towels, and tossing them outside, continued with my ablutions. Bad idea. Bad idea. For no sooner had I stepped from the shower when invisible hands took hold of the wet sheets and began flicking them against my butt, which stung like hell. In the end, ouch, that was a bad choice of words. I managed to get dressed, even though I had to hide in the closet to do so. And I got off with nothing worse than mismatched socks. I gave up the idea of breakfast, figuring I could grab something downtown. Maybe. Walking to the bus stop was an exercise in chaos. My suburban street was filled with white-sheeted traditional ghosts. Heck, the air was full of them, floating and howling. They were knocking over garbage bins or dancing with them and terrorizing the neighborhood cats, dogs, and jackrabbits. Whenever a car came down the street, a group of spooks would stand in the middle of the road, forcing the drivers, being polite Canadians, to stop. But eventually a young dude in a black Dodge Ram pickup didn't care and ran over them. Okay, ran through them. But leaving tire tracks on their white sheets. Then a guy on a bike came down the street, and invisible hands grabbed his front tire and yanked it 8 feet into the air, spilling the poor guy on his back. I thought about remonstrating, but then it occurred to me that discretion would be the better part of valor. I already had a pain in the rear. Why borrow trouble? At the bus stop, I found a group of silent ghosts waiting the arrival of the number 66 that would take us downtown. I joined them and kept silent too. It seemed to take an eternity. Oh, geez, another bad choice of words. It seemed to take a long time for the bus to arrive, but eventually the number 66 pulled up with an unearthly screech of brakes. I filed in with the rest of the shades, the rest of the passengers, only to find a skeleton in the driver's seat. I just stood there stunned, and I'd probably be standing there still, but the skeleton pointed a bony finger at me, indicating I should sit. And so I sat. I sat next to a ghost, which was okay at first, but then an amorous female spook sat on my lap and began to slobber me with passionate kisses. Now, at some points in my life, I probably would have enjoyed these attentions, but not from a ghost. I determined to get off the bus, only to find I couldn't. As the bus was flying through the air, carried by a fleet of flying spectres, carried 100 feet in the air, 100 feet above the ground. I went back and sat down, resigning myself to death. Oh well, if I became a ghost, at least I would have a girlfriend. But the bus didn't crash. Instead, it came down at the old cemetery. The ghosts on board then decamped while the bus was boarded by a new group of borderland phantoms. We flew downtown this time, with the bus set down by the big park a block from my office. And for once I ran to work. But as I was approaching the back door, Holly came staggering out. Now, Holly is one of those women who is always immaculate. But not this morning. She was barefoot. Her clothes were all mussed. Her hair was standing on end. Her makeup was smeared. She had obviously been crying. She was still crying. Boo-hoo! I can't take any more of these ghosts! And with that, she disappeared down the nearest alley. I thought about running too. It looked like it was going to be an interesting day at work. Boo-hoo indeed. To be continued. Or should I say, to be continued.